My name is Avi Ben David, and I'm with the Mulholland Brand since 1994. Been around for more than 28 years with tons of experience, not only in the gates and fencing industry, it's also in the security altogether, where company used to do a lot of low voltage security, worked a lot with locking mechanisms on doors. So door hardware is our specialty for many years. We used to do a lot of high rises with the most sophisticated electronic security, with all that relates to the door hardware and the electronic aspect as well. Doing gates at the same time to secure places. So the gates used to be made out of iron and wood, and as we kept on progressing, we used to do beautiful stuff made out of iron and wood. And today we are focusing mainly on gates, fencings, pergolas, wall wrapping, railings, things that are made out of aluminum. Aluminum is the premier material for outdoor product. Anything that needs to be outside, there is nothing really better today than aluminum. Aluminum, in the essence of it, is stronger than iron, which most people don't know. That's why they're making spaceships, airplanes, today all the car manufacturing, such as Tesla, BMW, Ford, and just to name a few, making their products out of aluminum. Aluminum doesn't require much maintenance. It can stand the elements. It doesn't rust, doesn't expand and contract and break, such as wood. So in our industry, where wood and iron is kind of the default for many years, we always encounter a lot of problems when we're doing work for people. You know, after 6 months or a year or two, they're calling us and telling us, listen, I spent a lot of money with you, and the work starting rusting, or the wood is starting to break. And those were things that were very hard to control. And we always looked for a solution to how can we really resolve that maintenance issue. You know, somebody wants to sell the house after a few years, and the realtor will come and tell him, you know, you need to go ahead and call somebody to renew the work, especially if the person didn't maintain the work over the years. So with the aluminum, those problems are basically disappearing. The person can have the work for many years, and it will look as it's just, you know, recently did the work. So that's part of a little background about what we used to do, our experience, and a solution we provided to maintenance. Now, why are we different than, let's say, any other company that doing work in our trades, which is gates, fencings, which is a big part of our business. We do also pergolas, we do also wall cladding. We can wrap up a building with aluminum with different designs. We also doing railings. We have other items as well. We also covering equipment around the swimming pools and, you know, all the air conditioning that's standing outside, or on rooftops where you have a lot of equipment and it needs to be covered up with something kind of that looks pretty. So we do that as well. And we're also specialists in hilly terrains, because the name Mulholland is a name of a street in Los Angeles going all the way from Hollywood Hills all the way down to Malibu, in very beautiful prestige areas for the most part, and on hilly terrain. So a lot of the work we do are on terrains that are kind of weird, and we really got the neck of it. I don't think that there is any company in the world even today who's doing so much work in such a environment and those hilly terrains as we do. I can almost guarantee that there is no other company that does so much work, because we are today finishing anywhere between 3 and 10 projects a day, each day of the year. Today we have close to about 100 employees. Everybody is employee of the company. We don't utilize subcontractors, so that's one of the differences. Another one is that we are the only manufacturing that is a real manufacturing, that manufacturing our product from scratch. We are the ones who's going out and advising our clients, providing them with, you know, a lot of data of how they can do it, what designs we have. We're a company who's having a proper catalog where you can choose different designs, you can mix and match as well. And that's another difference of ours, the catalog, and the fact that you can really choose, mix and match. And then we are going out to the field again, measuring the project with the project manager and the customer again there to make sure that communication is very clear and the customer knows exactly what he's getting, not only the design and the color, but also how the gates will operate and how they're going to open, to what side, in or out, will slide slide, will swing, where the post is going to go. And then from there is going to our product engineering, going into a department that really engineer everything to the specs of how we're going to cut the material, what sizes, and the gaps that's going to be between the pieces, and the size of the left side compared to the right side if it's on a hilly terrain. And from engineering, it goes into fabrication. And fabrication, again, it's cutting the material and putting it together, then buffing it and making sure that before it goes into paint, which is also one of our differences, because not only that we're different in creating the product out of aluminum, we're also buffing it and creating like scratches on the material, getting rid of all the debris, and then we are putting it into powder coating, which we have an amazing facility, one of the best facilities today in California. And powder coat and aluminum are best friends because powder coat stick on aluminum really well, not like on iron. On iron, it's a process, it needs to be sandblasted, it needs to be zinc, it has to have primer, it needs to have another coat and then a clear coat, otherwise it's just not catching very well. And then still, if it's getting a little bump or something and it starts peeling, the rust will grow on the inside out and will peel the powder coat. With aluminum, it cannot happen. Aluminum, even if it gets scratched up, it's still nothing gonna happen because the aluminum itself doesn't rust. Nothing can happen underneath the paint, and it can be either touched up or can be repainted. The color can be replaced as well, no problem later down the road if someone wants to replace it. Then it's going to be installed by our employees, people who see that product, installing it every day and knowing all the ins and outs and putting it together for our customers. We're always letting people know that the product itself is made by hand, piece by piece. Any project goes anywhere between 20 to 30 people that gets involved in this project. Not only the project advisor, but the person who's measuring the project and the engineering, and the person who's cutting the material, the person who's fabricating it, the buffers, the painters, the loaders, the technicians who's going out there. So many people, the schedulers. There's a lot of people that get involved in a project like that, and it's a handmade project. Gates and fences in general, the ones that we make, are gonna look beautiful with very minimal imperfections. Rest assured, it's gonna look gorgeous, and it's the closest to perfect that it possibly can be. Also, we have those gates that coming out of the ground, which we are the only ones in the Western United States who are installing those gates. So innovation and continuing providing with new ideas and new solutions to the market. We're also doing like tandem gates that are beautiful and very gentle. Before, when we used to do iron and wood, the motors used to be very big. The mechanism that works on those tandem gates used to be large and kind of, I wouldn't even call it ugly, because it really was an eyesore. The gap between the wings was kind of large, and we solve all those issues. We also have gates that opening to both sides, so solution for alley situations where you cannot have a gate that slides to one side because the neighbors are on one side, cannot swing open to the alley, of course, cannot swing open inside because people parking inside. So the solution is, a motor in the middle and have two wings that opening to both sides, and you can choose the side that you're going to drive through. So that's another thing. We also created what we call invisible sliding technology, where you don't see the rollers on the outside of a sliding gate, which is amazing because it was always kind of an eyesore in a way in the industry. You see a gate, but then you see those big rollers holding the gate. So we figured out a way that the gate will slide beautifully without this eyesore that was always a problem. And it's also helping us with hilly terrains where a gate can slide up and down and will slide beautifully, very slicky, rather than have really big rollers that can handle all this slope, all these gaps. So usually on hilly terrains we had to use very large rollers to accommodate the gate sliding in any part of it, even when it's short or when it's tall. So we took care of that, and that's another way that we are who we are and our differences. Also the fact that we have the Aluma lock, again, part of the fact that we are door hardware specialists, we're able to look at what hardware we're installing on gates and how are the hinges. Look at the hinges that we're using. They've been engineered specifically. Usually most iron gates working with book hinge, and a book hinge a lot of sometimes belong to a door, and a welder will take it and weld it, and it's always going to rust around that area, and it's kind of look really bad. And our mortise locks that we're using on gates, all the pedestrian gates, so we either use the Aluma lock, which is electronic, work with a fingerprint or with a code or with a proximity card. Also the mechanical locks that we're using, or mortise locks, those locks can last for many years without having issues. We're also using smaller motors, more slicky, very powerful, but not an ISO. You don't see those huge big mechanisms with a chain. We don't use chains, we use rack and pinions and mechanisms, so the work looks so much more beautiful. And our prices are really good, because if you want to compare iron work to our aluminum, you really have to go with galvanized iron. And then when you do designs such as our high-tech design or our 45 or adding glass, it's very hard to compete with our prices. It's almost impossible for an iron fabricator to do what we do and provide the same level of low maintenance and still keep it within our price range. Another thing that makes us different is the fact that we are manufacturing that also cutting our own glass. We're also doing laser cutting. We have the equipment to do laser cutting, so you can also get different kind of designs, and you can also add glass into your gates. Glass and aluminum are good friends, because if water goes in between the glass and the aluminum, nothing really going to happen to the material. Also the fact that we're the only company who's working with a precise price list. Our price list shows each of the designs, also each of the accessories, and let you know exactly how much the part costs and how much the labor to install it. So we're separating the part from the labor, so you know what you're paying exactly. We're also working by very precise procedures and policies that helping the projects goes smoother and faster. We're in a very logistic industry, very logistic business. Each project is completely custom made, and working with the different personalities, working with a lot of individuals, couples, families, boards of HOAs, management companies, architects, engineers, designers, and so there is so many opinions and so much knowledge, and so the amount of communications and the requires tons of patience and a lot of love, and employees that are working with us to be able to accommodate each one of these projects. And right now we can finish anywhere between 3 and 7 projects every day, even sometimes 10 projects a day. So when you do so many projects, and if you're looking at the map of how many projects we're doing, we are everywhere, and there is no company today in California, and probably very small amount of companies in the US altogether, they're doing so many projects. So imagine how much experience are we having, which is also something that differentiating us from any other company out there. Also, the amount of different designs that we have is really not only very beautiful for many of our designs, it can also, create designs that are mix and match into, such as glass combined with our Profile 24 or with our high-tech frame or with our high-tech. We can add the handles that are kind of pretty, and we can add, for example, solid design with a little bit of opening, and the opening we can choose. We have, many different profiles that you can choose from. Also, our product is green product. Aluminum, as many people don't know, but can be recycled forever without losing its quality. So we have that, and also the way we painting, powder coating is greener than painting with a spray paint with different chemicals. So being green is important for us, and we really try to do it in any aspect of the way that we do things, and that's where the aluminum playing a huge role, and the paint process as well. Thank you to all our customers who've been with us for many years, new customers, and people who haven't been doing business with us. I encourage you to give us a call and try working with us. I can guarantee that you will be very happy with the way we conduct business. Have a wonderful rest of the year.